everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka
They call him the what?
MBT,
Swords.
and we are back with another Twitter thread. Look at chat. They look so freaking weird up there. Today we're talking about the very few times the Yu-Gi-Oh community has been good. There's been so much negativity these past couple of weeks in the light of the ban list that I think it's time we take a step back and remember the people that make this game playable in the first place. I want to ask you about times you think the community pulled through or did something awesome, and I'm going to begin with the image you see in front of you. When events were shut down during COVID, one individual, Alex Simo, jumped on the opportunity to host the literal largest online tournament ever made. I think he had to cap entries at like 1,024 because it was getting so out of hand, Challenge could no longer deal with it. The Crush Card Cup was a lot of fun. Let's see what you all came up with. House of Champs says, with the help of many YouTubers and top duelists, we raised over $8,000 for a suicide prevention charity. Simo, Jeff Jones, many others came together to make it a great event with many sponsors tossing in giveaways all the way up to prize cards. There have been a ton of really impressive charity streams that the Yu-Gi-Oh community has been responsible for. I used to do them occasionally. I think the last one I did was we raised $10K for an LGBTQ rights charity in the wake of a bunch of terrible, awful things. But I really do appreciate that streamers want to give cash to organizations that align with what the community needs. Dyer says, the first place I was comfortable expressing myself as a woman was in this guy's chat in 2019. He made me feel safe and accepted by shouting at chatters for being transphobic for the 3 years prior I had been watching him. I really can't tell you how incredible it is that the funniest guy in the community is like not a shithead. Like in 2016, when everyone was trying to cosplay Leafy is here, this guy was like, if you don't recognize two-spirit individuals, I will fucking kill you. And he would ban you in his chat. He would yeet you out of there. Real Farfa heads remember that frequently videos would get delayed because this asshole would spend 17 hours a day arguing on Zodiac duelists with Trump supporters. He loved arguing. It was his favorite thing.
Because honestly, it's just a load of bullshit. It's just so shit. Like, the arguments given are just garbage and terrible. Do I really need to explain why that's such a fucking stupid argument?
Alex says, doesn't apply to 99% of players, but this actually got Konami to update the tournament docs to help better accommodate players with disability. A lot of individuals who have a lot of debilitating illnesses that would prevent them from playing card games have figured out ways to circumvent those in recent years. And basically exclusively through these videos and videos like them, Alex helped people kind of jerry-rig a way in which individuals could continue to play the game that they love if something happened to them. Eventually, this culminated in Konami guidance actually changing to accommodate individuals, and now if you go to events, there are accommodations available for tons of players. I could say so many from my personal life, but the Yu-Gi-Oh community single-handedly funded shirts for our school's Gender and Sexuality Alliance. The kids were so excited to have them and give them out to other students, and teachers were supporting their club. That is so sweet. Most recently, when I moved back to Portland and lost out on a ton of community, there were people at every OTS who welcomed me back like it hadn't been 10 years, especially the folks at TOTL Games who didn't know me before I moved but immediately folded me into the family. Yu-Gi-Oh players are occasionally prickly to new individuals who have legitimate complaints about the pace of the game. But if someone says the words, I'm getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, we will fight tooth and nail to keep them. Yu-Gi-Oh is an expensive game, and I'm a part-time cashier renting in 2024, so I'm eternally grateful we have a community so keen on letting people borrow cards. I can show up to an event and with the help of friends and strangers be playing a full meta deck, no concessions made. It's so strange. No other game feels like this, as an individual who's competed competitively in a ton of other ones. But the willingness with which Yu-Gi-Oh players lend cardboard is unthinkable. Like, you can borrow cards in other card games. Magic the Gathering players, of course, do it, but I am always astounded that Yu-Gi-Oh players will just be like, yeah, take my Fiendsmith playset. I'll get it back from you eventually. Hope says, this community helped me fundraise to keep a roof over my head and food on the table. Also, LOL stands locals crew are some of the best friends I've ever made. Cornwall Diff. Why are any of these people at the bottom here? In college, it was difficult to meet people. A group of guys were playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the hallway of the dorm, so that's how I met my inner circle. Also, 10 years ago, as of October, I met my wife through that same group. Pick related me 10 years ago. All right, let's do the math. They were playing like Release, Burning Abyss, and Shadow. I see why you all stuck together. Hey, hold up. What's going on in the background of this image? A few months ago, I found out that I had previously missed a congenital heart defect where a tricuspid valve should be is a bicuspid valve instead. An unfortunate and pretty serious condition if it it isn't discovered as a newborn and immediately corrected. When I had an echo, they realized my heart is in pretty critical state of over-enlargement with heart failure, an ejection fraction of 40. It was determined an urgent surgery was needed, so I will be needing open heart surgery soon to replace that area of my heart. The surgery has a pretty high mortality rate compared to 99% of surgeries, and I'm admittedly pretty terrified and nervous about it. Over the past 2 years, I've really changed my Twitter's audience to Yu-Gi-Oh, and I do plan on using the platform to vent and talk about this here and there when needed. I literally just had a kid 3 months ago, and I don't want to stress out my wife too much. I made a shorter post about this a couple weeks ago, had 10 or so people reach out to me. I think the community will come through as a good source of trying to keep spirits up and get through all of what's to come. Shit! I'm so sorry to hear that. This is like the Yu-Gi-Oh reply guy. I mean, wishing the best for you. I hope it all goes well. Click back to this and someone's going to be like, I like when people say bussy. I feel like the stories of the toxicity of the community are more the exception than the rule. I'd only played Yu-Gi-Oh digitally up until last spring when I built Math Mech. I'd been playing in Master Duel for the TCG and I took it to locals for the first time. I had a great time. I'm an older player, which worried me that it'd be weird. No one noticed or cared. Everyone was super nice, gave me constructive feedback, and was eager to share what they had in their card collections with me. Since locals are hard to get back to, I've started doing remote duels. Again, the people in the Discords I belong to have been incredibly helpful and nice. I love Yu-Gi-Oh and its communities. That is so nice. That one time a guy at our card shop told me gay people deserve to die, and all the other regulars offered to beat him to death in the parking lot. Well... People are enjoying and appreciating the levity I try to bring to larger events. It's done wonders for my mental health, and I like to think it's helped people. Oh my god! It's the shoe ship person! Yo! Oh my god! If they ever pull this guy aside and they're like, sorry, that mat is not legal for organized play, I'm quitting Yu-Gi-Oh. Forged a 3-year friendship because I hopped into a Yu-Gi-Oh streamer's chat during law school final exam season and I asked if he needed outlines. I did need outlines. You know what's crazy? I never ended up using the outlines you sent me. I was like, wow, this was really kind of him to send, but I feel like I really should do the outlining process to better my own educational outcomes. What a fucking moron I was. In all seriousness, this is a space the childhood me dreamed of, did not think could exist. My parents told me I could never grow up to duel or be a part of Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm proving them wrong while healing parts of me that I didn't think could be healed. That's so nice. Our locals community has slowly turned from a toxic cesspit typical goblin style group to a welcoming, inclusive, and diverse one in the past COVID boom. You know, I don't know when this happened, but it really was like a 2019 to COVID phenomenon. The 2013-14 Yu-Gi-Oh community was just, it was all dudes and they all had pretty similar attitudes. In like 2016, when Zodiac Duelist was like a 24/7 Trump rally, I remember being like, well, obviously it would be. But over the last 4 years, the tenor of the community has just completely shifted. It's been real nice. A bunch of us transitioned, that's why. That's... I mean, maybe that did impact it a little bit. The entire story behind Jeff Leonard and how the community loves him so much is amazing. I played against him before and he couldn't be a nicer guy if he tried. He makes me proud to be part of this community. It is a real testament to the dude's personality that he is so beloved despite playing heinous ass decks. The pre-release of Maze of Millennia at my LGS was the Thursday before a signing with Greg Abbey that was happening that Saturday. Even though I had to go by pre-order value, the whole store tracked down a copy of the QCR Junk Warrior that night for me. It is now my favorite card I own. That's so sweet. 3 years ago, I posted a ban list meme and put a friend's fundraiser in the replies. Farfa retweeted the meme, and a little while afterwards, someone anonymously donated £1,000 to the fundraiser. Maybe the timing was a coincidence, but I can't discount the possibility. The amount of times people at locals have given me genuine advice and intuition about my deck or a play that I made is heartwarming. Coming from comp video games, it's a breath of fresh air. It's nice to see people wanting to help and make you better. It is shocking how ready Yu-Gi-Oh players are to tell you how to improve. Like a lot of games, it's like, you gotta figure it out, son. And Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like, nah, we can break this. The annual charity events. Though I've never played one for scheduling issues, it's really neat Konami has a day where it encourages players to give food. My OTS always fills 4 long tables with all kinds of non-perishable food. I play in these every year. They're a ton of fun and a great opportunity to get into the OTS by giving them cans of beans. Oddly enough, I remember when I first came out a year ago and I slapped this as a selfie as a PFP on DB. It got a genuinely really good response, and for the first time I felt I was femme and pretty. Putting it as your profile picture and being like, all right, let's see if they hit on me on Dueling Book. Rare DBW, first and only. Being an outsider to Yu-Gi-Oh, I'd say it's the overall sentiment of feeling welcome. Asking about weird interactions, discovering DB controls, testing homebrew jank, trying to make custom cards, I was met with more patience, kindness, and constructive feedback than I'd expected. Yu-Gi-Oh players love talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. They don't like playing it though. Between bad formats, a high price point, and the ever-present miasma of drama that permeates every online space, it can be tough to take a step back and remember why we play this game. For me, it has a lot lot to do with the people. And seeing the stories of individuals in the comments of this thread talking about how at their lowest, their friends they made through Yu-Gi-Oh were able to bring them up really makes me proud to be a part of this community. That time Joseph's chat probably saved his life by pointing out his